Kody and I have an agreement that if we decide we don't want to be married anymore, we're not going to hold each other up. But I never thought that I wanted to leave the marriage. No, I just know how much I love Kody, and I know he's a good guy and he's doing his best. I don't think anybody should be married while they're going through a divorce. Anybody who's gone through a divorce knows that it brings out the worst in you and sides of, somebody that you didn't know existed, type of a thing.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, January 26th, 2024. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Kody Brown said in an interview with Mormon Discussions Inc. or Mormonism Live that he believes that most women are hypergamous, meaning they are gold diggers and they're looking for a man to take care of them and for stature. And he referred to Robyn as his diesel gene model that wanted to join his family and believed in him. Now, he said that he believes polygamy is still legit because all men want to do it and all women are gold diggers, simply calling Robyn a gold digger. Recently, there's been this incredible smear campaign going on against MERI's new boyfriend, Amos, which, listen, every single person has stuff in their past, and when we discuss polygamy specifically, you're going to see a lot of debt problems. There's going to be issues with welfare, using welfare to feed the kids because dad doesn't claim them on their taxes, lying. There's going to be bankruptcies. There's likely to be infractions, tickets not paid because they don't believe in paying parking tickets or traffic tickets. There's a lot of different aspects of polygamy, and sometimes there's foreclosures. There's going to be a litany of messiness in this culture. So what I think is interesting is that the media, some of the media, like The Sun, focus heavily on the other men, but rarely discuss what's going on with Kody. They might pull something and say, oh, Kody was late on his taxes, but he always pays them. Or Kody did this or Kody did that. But for years, they ignored Kody's bankruptcies. They ignored the welfare fraud. And instead, they have heavily promoted Kody as this good person. Kody believes he's a good guy. And you heard Robyn say in the very beginning that he is a good guy and she never considered leaving him. One of you in my comments yesterday asked for some more details about Robyn's first divorce and what her background was like before she joined the family, because some of you are saying it kind of sounds like the way they're painting Amos is almost like how Robyn was when she joined the family. And someone asked if Robyn had ever declared bankruptcy, and I said the answer was no, and it had to do with something that happened in their divorce, in her divorce with her first husband. And that person, you asked for this video, so here, let's dive into the topic of Robyn's messiness. Before you do, can you do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up? Make sure to subscribe to my channel if I haven't subscribed, and click on the bell so you never missed a video. Robyn Alice Mark, M-A-R-C-K, was born in 1978 to Robert and Alice Merrick. Alice went on to marry, or quote-unquote marry, a guy named Paul Sullivan, who was a polygamist, and she returned her name to Fulmer, and her actual name is Reva Alice Fulmer. So Robyn grew up in a polygamous world, and her mom was a second wife, and they all kind of lived like second wives do. She was not allowed to claim her kids. Paul didn't claim Robyn as his child, and it was her stepfather. When Robyn got married, she fell in love with a guy named Preston Jessup, whose father was Lewis Jessup, who was one of the leaders of the Montana sect of the AUB. And Robyn and David Preston, he goes by Preston, got married in 1999, and in January of 2000, she delivered her first child, Mr. Dayton, who actually is birth name David Preston Jessup II, or Jr. According to Preston's niece and a former friend that I've spoken to of Preston's, They were not married in the church. Preston never wanted to be a polygamist because Robyn was pregnant at the time of her marriage. They were not sealed in the AUB temple, and their marriage was one of legal. It was a legal marriage. There was nothing, their marriage had nothing to do with the church. And Preston was not a heavily involved individual in the church. So while they remained kind of within the culture on the peripheral, while they were married, they were not actively involved in the church. And Preston didn't want to be involved in the church. His friend said he wanted nothing to do with polygamy. So she had 3 children in the span of a short amount of time, and she and Preston lived in Pinesdale. By 2007 and 2008, their marriage was irretrievably broken with serious marital discord, which was a reason that Preston used for his filing, meaning that there was such severe problems that he says that she was causing him that it was affecting his well-being. And so he filed for divorce. On the show, Robyn has claimed that she was the one that was affected mentally. In the divorce, she didn't contest the grounds for the marriage dissolving, and the marriage ended up becoming finalized in 2008. On the show, she accused Preston of DV and called him effectively an abuser. She also claimed that he stole her purity and effectively accused him of R-ing her, none of which was true. According to Preston's niece and his friend, they alleged that it was Robyn that was actually at times physical with Preston. His niece told me she witnessed Robyn multiple times get physical with Preston, and he did not respond to it. And that the crux of their issues had to do with her compulsive shopping. And prior to their divorce, she opened a ton of credit cards and was shopping and buying stuff behind his back, hiding it and hoarding it in a shed. And their marriage fell apart when he learned about her spending and the fact that she kept it from him. His family bailed her out and paid off the debt, but she didn't pay off the debt. She actually just went and spent more. And according to the family, she took off when she was confronted. And then he ended up filing for divorce. Robyn had accrued a ton of debt. And this is something that we've talked quite a bit about on my channel, but I'll show you that when she and Preston were divorced, the court made the decision to divide their assets. And on the show, she had said that she took on the debt because she wanted to be nice. When the truth was, Robyn had opened up a ton of credit cards jointly in their names and had maxed these cards out behind his back. And when she filed for divorce, she had accrued in joint ownership in like credit cards that she had opened in both of their names in over $32,000 of credit card debt. This did not include any credit cards that she had opened solely in her name or that she had opened since their date of the separation. These cards included credit cards from HSBC, Citibank, and Capital One. Credit cards where she racked up $8,600 at HSBC, $6,000 at Citibank, $8,600 at Capital One. She had a Target maxed at $5,000. She had a Victoria's Secret at $900, Maurice's at $800, Sears was $1,300, and Home Depot was $1,200. When he left, he took one credit card from Citibank at $3,200. He took the car loan and any other cards that he had opened in his name, along with any personal debts that were in his name. She had taken this debt because she was the one that caused the debt. And she claimed that she was doing it to, be benevolent and be the peacemaker. But the truth is that these were her credit cards, and that the financial destitution in her spending contributed to severe problems in their marriage. And that's ultimately one of the reasons they ended up divorcing. And it was Preston that actually filed for divorce from her. And When she left the family, the divorce was finalized in November of 2008, and she was already with Kody by early 2009. One of the reasons why Robyn was unable to file for bankruptcy as a part of her divorce to get rid of these credit cards is because she and Preston agreed that their debt would be separated. Even though Preston's name remained on some of these credit cards, she was taking that debt on. If she were to file for bankruptcy in those credit cards, with those credit cards, it would negatively affect him, and that he would then be on the hook for that debt, meaning then she would be in violation of her divorce decree. And a stipulation in their divorce specifically outlined that parties understand and agree that both parties plan on declaring bankruptcy as a result of their inability to pay their high amounts of debt. Both understand and agree that if one party does declare bankruptcy, that the other party may be responsible for some of the debts listed in Schedule B, which are allocated to the other party. So basically, because of the way that he took on the car loan, and so if he was going to file for bankruptcy, he would have to take on, hold her responsible for whatever he still had jointly in their names. Conversely, if she filed for bankruptcy, all of that credit card debt that she had taken on in jointly in their names, he would then be responsible for. She couldn't file for bankruptcy without negatively impacting him, and he couldn't do it without negatively impacting her, and they couldn't do it without effectively both violating their agreements of the settlement of their divorce. So while they had both planned to do it, they both agreed that this might not work because it would be in violation of Schedule B. So Robyn walks into the Brown family, meets Kody, and she has $32,000 of credit card debt. On top of that, she's unemployed. She has other debt outside of the debt that I just talked to you about, because she probably took out more credit cards. And she was on welfare. Her kids were on Medicaid for health insurance, and she was receiving food stamps. According to the filings of her modification to remove his parenting and to suspend his parenting time and what eventually moved on to the adoption, she admitted that she was on food stamps from at least 2010 until the end of 2012. And this means that if you look at the schedule of the Sister Wives and what the airing of it with the seasons, she was on food stamps through season 6. Season 6 aired in 2013, but was filmed in 2012. So for 6 seasons of Sister Wives, and while she was building her house before she closed, she ended food stamps and got rid of that case for child support and ended the food stamps as a part of building the house. And I'm sure that it was part of cleaning up her debt, getting rid of some of her responsibilities, and trying to prove her income. And so she probably had to claim income from the show in order to qualify to build the house, thus removing her ability to qualify for food stamps. And if you remember back in the early seasons, she used to have a note on her refrigerator said that, kids do not eat the food in this refrigerator. And that's simply because when you're on food stamps, you're technically not supposed to share food with anyone outside of the people that are receiving the food stamp money. So the money was allocated for her kids through the state of Nevada, and the other kids couldn't eat that food because it was for her kids. So she says that she closes it because he was an antagonizer, but really she closed it likely so that she could qualify to build her house. Anyways, so she was on food stamps through season 6. When you start looking at the negative articles about Amos and you say, oh, he's a gold digger, oh, he came in with all this debt, oh, he didn't pay child support. Robyn walked into the Brown family with $32,000 in revolving credit card debt. She was on food stamps. Her kids were on Medicaid. She was unemployed, and she was a mess. And she couldn't declare bankruptcy to get rid of it. And her debt was a huge problem for the family in the very early seasons. Janelle talks about it a lot. She wrote in her book that she wanted to become famous, meet Oprah, start a business. She was looking for financial stability, and that's how she found Kody. And she wrote about that in the book. So Robyn was looking for someone to bail her out, and Kody did that. Her trouble with income and with finances did not stop, though, because then in 2012, Dayton got into an ATV accident. She had already taken him off Medicaid at this point because she was trying to build a house. And so she had him underinsured. And suddenly she has a $30,000, $60,000 bill. She has to pay $30,000 of it. Preston's on the hook for $30,000 of it because they're underinsured. So she takes the kids off of insurance. They have zero insurance basically. And Preston and Robyn are paying out of pocket for Dayton's ATV accident, which was caused by Kody. And it was that hospital lien that Kody used as leverage to force Preston to sign over his rights as a parent. Because he said, I'll forgive you this debt and I'll pay it for you. I'll pay you off this debt for you. I will take the kids off your hands and we'll just wash our hands. And he was backed into a corner. He was broke from their divorce. And that's kind of how it happened. I've talked about that before in the past. So not only did she have this huge debt, right? But she also had this lien and Kody bailed her out. So once they developed the storyline in order for her to get the kids adopted because of this lien on the house, really that's the truth. And eventually what happens is by 2015, they say that they need to get this lien paid off. And so they develop the adoption storyline. And then literally they pay off the hospital lien. And within weeks of the hospital lien being paid off, Kody and her took out a $50,000 home equity line against her home. So her house, which previously had a mortgage for like $405,000, went up to having a mortgage of, I don't even know, $460,000, likely because they had to pay off one of the other wives who bailed her out. So when she sold her house and she didn't get the same amount of equity as the other wives who didn't have to refinance. And so when she walked away from Vegas with not a lot of equity. And Kody decided that they were going to buy a house for her. The down payment they needed for her home because of her crappy credit and because of Kody's crappy credit was 25%. And so they needed to come up with $222,000. And Robyn didn't have that money from her equity from her sale of her home. Kody didn't have the money. So who paid for her home? MERI and Janelle. So Janelle gives her half of the equity from the sale of her house. MERI gives her half of the proceeds from the equity from the sale of her house. And together, those two put the down payment for Robyn for her house. So not only does the family bail out Dayton's medical debt, they also buy her a house for her. So Robyn used the wives for a new home, used the wives to pay off her debt, used the wives to pay off the medical lien, used the medical lien to get her ex-husband out of her life. And you see Amos being dragged for being a deadbeat dad and for being after the money of MERI, according to the ex-wife. Who's the one that was really after the money? Because since then, since all of this has happened, Kody and Robyn have been spending money hand over fist. One of the primary issues in the fallout of this family, which was never discussed on the show, only briefly touched on by Janelle, was that Janelle was the person that managed the finances because Kody is he's horrible with money. And he allowed her that right. And she has a business degree, and her degree, I believe, is in accounting. So she was doing the family finances. And she noticed that money was missing from accounts, and it was being spent very frivolously. And it was money that should have been used for other family expenses. But once Kody and Robyn got into that house in Arizona, their spending went out of control. They began filling the house up with expensive art and knickknacks, and Kody and Robyn start wearing Rolex watches and other very expensive watch brands. She starts wearing Tiffany's jewelry, David Yurman jewelry. He ends up buying a really expensive ring. She ends up with a huge, not only an expensive David Yurman ring, but she also ends up with a new wedding ring. He's driving a new Lexus while she's driving a really old station wagon. They have new trucks. They have multiple SUVs. They have so many cars, and so they have an RV on the property. Their house is littered with just junk that they're buying and accruing. And while this is happening, Kody starts a business and illegally starts selling weapons, which he's only supposed to be doing accessories, and he's thrown out of gun shows. And in 2023, in the fall, their gun company dissolves because they can't sell anymore because they've been kicked out of gun shows. And now Kody and Robyn have opened a brand new business in December of 2023 in Nevada. So I don't know if they're going to be moving to Nevada, but they have a brand new LLC. They've got their DABSARC for the payment of the show, and they've also formed this dummy LLC in Nevada, in Las Vegas. So Robyn really did contribute to the financial ruin of what happened in this family. She ruined her ex-husband. She was a gold digger, and she's actually one of the big reasons why everything fell apart in the family. Kody on the show, I want to remind you, is saying, I don't abuse welfare. My kids are all taken care of. We're good people. He had 2 wives on welfare. Robyn was on welfare through season 6. And listen, I don't care about anyone being on welfare, but Kody was on a show saying that he took care of those kids. Dayton didn't have health insurance. Truly didn't have health insurance. When Truly fell sick, they had no health insurance for Truly. When Truly's hospital bill came up, Christine was strapped with $250,000 worth of debt. She is still paying that debt off. She literally did a live a couple years ago while she was fundraising to raise money to pay for her Isabel's surgery. She admitted to everyone, yeah, so we have a big problem. I owe $250,000 in debt, and it's from when Truly was in the hospital and almost died from kidney failure. So he had 2 kids experience catastrophic illness and accident under his watch. He had no insurance for either one of them. And both of those wives at points were on welfare, and he was not supporting any of those kids. So he's the deadbeat father. Robyn is a deadbeat mom, and Robyn is a shopaholic that once the show is off the air, between Kody's spending and her spending, they will, I guarantee, declare bankruptcy. They don't have any money in the bank. It is gone. They spend it as fast as it's made. They have a lot of equity in their current home, and they have the property equity, but the property equity is tied up with money that was paid by, again, Janelle and MERI, and they owe money to Janelle and MERI for the home that they own together. So they still owe them $225,000 for the house down payment. They owe them money for the Coyote Pass money. So they're really screwed. And these women should actually sue them. And Christine should sue him for child support, but she won't. So Robyn is really the mess. Robyn is really the gold digger. And Kody and Robyn are really the deadbeats. And Kody and Robyn are miserable because their financial windfall has ended. They have a lot of money that they owe to a lot of people, and I'm sure they owe creditors even more. And they don't have access any longer to Christine, Janelle, or MERI's banks, accounts, or income. And they are scrambling to figure out a way to afford the lifestyle that they have developed. And that is why Kody is kissing the behinds and changing his tune in the tabloids, because he needs money. Robyn needs money. And their lives will literally fall apart if they don't get that money. And that's why these two are literally the 2 biggest con artists and deadbeats and grifters on reality television? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.